Hello friends, and welcome to you with this video number 2 of our course DIO with security. Now first of all, thank you for watching my channel and subscribing to it, and I do hope that if you like this video, please hit the like button and hit the notification bell so you could get the latest from my videos. Okay, in previous video we spoke about the 5 topics that we will talk about one after the other. This video we will talk about hashing the fields, whether it's a password field or any other field you wish to hash in your database. Now I have created this simple application. You remember in one of my previous courses, which I believe was this one, Flutter 2.5 with extra features, we learn how we can create a Flutter project which is version Flutter 2.5 plus. Any version 2.5 plus, you can create the project with this code. Okay, so you could give it some name. The most important thing is that you select a skeleton and you can give it a name, the project name, and whichever package that you will use, and some description about this package. Okay, so this is how you create the skeleton of this application. Now once you have created the application, you can open it with your IDE, and again if you wish to know how we can do the routing of the pages. Now in this application we have only one page, which is the home page. Okay, but also if you wish to know how we can do the routing, also again it's all mentioned in this course. Now this is the home page. The home page consists of 2 sections. The upper section is that where we will add the information and persist it in the database. The second section, the lower section, is where we retrieve the data that we have saved. Okay, now I made it all in one page just for simplicity. This video we will talk about only on hashing, as I said, only on hashing the fields. So this is the route for this page, for this home page. We will set the stateful widget, and then we create 2 keys, 2 global keys, one for saving, persisting, and one for fetching the data. And then we create some files and some for getting the images, because this is the most important thing. We will learn how we can persist an images in both cases. Now in this video I will use the model class to create a connection between the application and the database. From video number 2 we will start using the DIO API to create the connection between the application and the database. So the same code except for the part where we'll create the connection with the database. So these are how we will get the image, and from whether from a camera or from a gallery, and then how we remove it, and then if there is no image selected, how can we put some image, any image from our assets. Then we can create the controllers of these text fields. All these text fields, for each one of them we need to create a controller, and then a method. This method will track any changes that happen, that the user will enter in these text fields. Okay, so these are 4 controllers with 4 methods, and then we need to initialize those controllers. We add listeners to them using that method for each controller, and then we need to dispose these controllers. This is the basic design of it, and as you can see it's just a very simple design with the list view for the body, and that's it. There is nothing special about this design, but the most important thing is we will do it in here when we start creating the connection and persisting the data that we have entered in here, okay, in these text fields, and when we select any image, how we can persist. Now, as I have said, we will use in this video the model class. Now, how you can learn about this is all mentioned in this video. Actually, in Flutter database, you can learn how you can create this connection and how you can persist this data and fetch data. So it's all mentioned in that, but the only thing is different in this course and this video in particular is that when we hash the password, okay, so we need to create a class for hashing the any field. So I created this class which by the name password secure. This is the class. Now we will use a ppkdf2. This is an API for encryption. This API is all in here in this password.dart. As you can see in here, from pub.dev you could go and take the link from this API and you put it in your pubspec.yaml file. Now I have tried many password hashing APIs. Most of them, almost all of them, have some shortcomings. The only one which I have found is complete one is this API, which is a very good one, because first of all, as I had said, it uses this very powerful API for encryption, and also you can manipulate the variables of the encryption. Okay, now you need to remember one thing. These are the variables that controls how strong is the hashing you will need. The block length, the iteration count, and the key length that you will get after the hashing, and also the salt, which is any text that you wish to enter to increase the hashing power. Okay, now you need to remember one very important thing. The more or the higher values for these values, the longer time for hashing and dehashing the user will be affected. So if I use 24 3016 and if I use 64 instead, let's say 64, here the hashing will be stronger, but also it will take time to hash and to dehash the fields that you have hashed in the database. So it's a trade-off between the strength of the hashing and between the time consumed to hash and to dehash these fields. Okay, so I have set these because I found them useful, with these values 24 and 3000 iteration, and the key length is 16, and I'm not using any salt in this case. Okay, now we need to create two methods. One method to hash and the other method is to verify, which means when we want to persist this data, we will use this method, and when we want to retrieve the data from the database, we will use this method. Now the method is very simple. As you can see from this class, which is coming with this API, there is this class password.hash, and then you enter whichever password the user have entered in here. Okay, and then you use the algorithm, this algorithm, which is the instance of this ppkdf2. This is the hashing process. Now also remember, you could hash multiple fields. For instance, I could hash the string, let's say email, also I could hash it. But also you need to remember that the more fields you wish to hash, the longer time it will take for hashing and dehashing your fields. Okay, so be careful how many fields you wish to hash usually. Now in the other method, which is the one which we'll use here when we retrieve the data, so again we will take this field, which is again it's the email. In our case I have made it just an email and a password and an image, and here just an email and a password. So you will take this field, whatever the user will insert in here, and also the save pass, which is the password that has been hashed already in the database. Sorry. And then we will use the same class with this method, with this verify method, which is also from this API, from the password API. Okay, password underscore down. Okay, so this is the way how we can manipulate these two methods, so we can hash whenever we persist and dehash whenever we fetch data from the database. Okay, so let's see how we can hash. In this case, as you remember, for those of you who watched this course, Flutter database, there is one extra step in this case, is that we will use the method of the hash method that we have just spoke about, this hash method, which from this one, okay, and then we enter to it the password that the user had entered in here. Once we have entered it and we will hash it, then we put the hashed password in here in a new string value. Then we can send this hashed password, we can send it along with the email and along with the image that we have selected in here, the user selected in here. So the hashed password, the email from this text field, and the image from this selection. Then we can press save, this button, the save button, so we can save all these information. Okay, now this is the first part. Let us do one part now. I have created a database in here, which is a very simple table. It's the email and the password and the image. These are three fields with text type. Okay, now as you can see, if I select star, there is no data saved in here. Okay, so now let's try saving some data. Let's enter here some data. Let's say email at email.com, and let's say the password, let's keep it say that secret. Okay, this is secret. Now because this is an AVD, I don't have image from gallery. Usually I select the image from the gallery from this button, but since this is an AVD, there is no gallery image, so I will select the image from a camera. It's a fake image in the AVD. Okay, working with the AVD takes a little bit time, so that's why I have paused the video to get the image from the camera, and accordingly we can persist it with the rest of the data in here. Now what we need to do, we need to send all this data that we have done in here in the persist data, all these data with the hashed password, this step. So the email, the hashed password, and the image, all we send to the database. Now as you can see, as you have seen, there was no data saved in the table. So now we will press on the save button and we will see. Now the point here is that we need to see how the password will be saved, as a plain text or as a hashed. Now it is saved or as a hashed code. Let's see again in the, now remember we have selected a word secret in the password as a password. Okay, as you can see here, the password has been hashed with a 16-digit key. This is the email, this is the image, and this is the hashed password. Okay, now the next step is that we need to retrieve the data and show it in here. Again, we use the same email and the same password, and then we will retrieve. What we want to retrieve is to retrieve only the image, because if we can access to this account, that means we can retrieve. If we can access to this email and we check the password and it checks, then we can retrieve this image. I want to show only the image in here, in this section. Okay, after I press the retrieve using the email and the password, I will check it with the table. If they checks, then we can get the image, we can retrieve the image. Okay, so this is the steps. Now whenever we press on this button, what will happen is that exactly what will happen is as we have spoken in this course, the Flutter database. We just request some data from the database based on the email and a password. The password, the normal password, in this case just a text plain that the user will enter. So the email and the password. So you will take this text plain password the user have entered, and let's see. So email at email.com, and the password is secret. I hope I have typed it correctly, secret, and the email at email.com, which is exactly the same as email at email.com. Okay, so now this is a plain text password which we will put in here, and this is a plain text email which we will put in here, and then we'll send it via the model class that we have created. And from the model class we go to this method, which is the retrieve data method, and then we use the email and the plain text password. Now how we can dehash the password, because now we are getting a plain text password while we have in the database we have a hashed password. So the first thing to do is that we check the password before we collect the data. We check the password, we with this query select password database, which is this field, the password DB from the database, from this table. Okay, from this table where email DB is equal to this email that we have entered. Now if the password is checked, means if it is correct, then we can proceed with retrieving the data, including the image data. Okay, so we have two things. First one is that we need to verify that the password the user have entered is exactly matching with the hashed password that we have got it from this upper query, from this query. Okay, so this query will give us the hashed password result. It's a PostgreSQL result. Okay, so we will get this hash password, and then we verify it along with the password the user have entered in here, text plain password, using this class that we have created earlier. Okay, if it checks, if it's verified, then we can do another connection, and then we grab the data from this image which is saved, persisted in the database, and then we show it in the lower section in here. Okay, so let's see. Are we gonna check or no? Rest. Again, this is the AVD, it takes a little time. Okay, now we have retrieved this image that we have saved, which is the same image as in here, as you could see. From using the email and a text plain, we have checked it against the password that was saved in the database using the hash password class. It checked, it was correct. Accordingly, we have set into the next level where we got the image data, and then we have shown it over in here. So this is the video about talking about how we can hash the password or any other field, how we can hash and how we can dehash. Okay. From the next video, we will start using we will not use anymore the model class, we will use the DIO. You can apply the DIO also in here. The only difference, as we have said, it's in here, in this part. Here will be the difference. Whenever we click any button, there will be some, instead of sending the data to a model class, we will send as a post, HTTP post to using the DIO API. So this is the difference from next video when we start talking about the DIO. Okay, thank you for watching my video. Hopefully, if you like it, you hit the like button and you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you could get the latest videos from my channel. Thank you very much again.